The following program was originally scheduled to air on March 10th, 2019.
Your Humanities Half-hour is brought to you by the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.
Welcome to Your Humanities Half-hour. I'm Catherine Perry. Today, it's my pleasure to have in studio the Program Director of the Chamorro and Carolinian Language Heritage Studies Program under the CNMI public school system, Mr. Jonas Barcinas. Jonas, welcome to the show.
Buenas, Jesus Masi. Thank you, Ms. Catherine, for this opportunity.
You know, it was very intriguing to see this program first start getting publicity and get started. I think it was a couple years ago, but absolutely stunning to see all the responsibilities you have under this program. How did this program come about for the public school system?
Well, I believe that, it's a mandate program under the CNMI Constitution. So it's a mandate program, and also within the public school system, it's mandated for all the schools, especially elementary to high school, that this content, this course, Chamorro and Carolinian, should be taught within the public school system.
I think a lot of us here in the CNMI are familiar with having to take Carolinian bilingual or Chamorro bilingual, but it seems that there's been more emphasis on this program or more attention in the last few years. What has the change been?
I believe just the consistency in trying to carry out the mission and vision of the program, and I do applaud the former directors, the program managers that step up to the plate to take charge of the program. Years ago, we have Ms. Difunta Lumi Bermudez, Ms. Patricia Capileo, Mr. Joe Limis, Ms. Carmen Taimaño, and there's others probably that I still don't have on my top of my head. But I applaud them for, the journey that they have taken to really begin the, building the program in a way where, we can be actually, giving the kids the opportunity to speak the language in Chamorro and Carolinian. But of course, the most important thing is hiring, those teachers that are passionate and knowledgeable and skilled about, speaking the native vernacular language.
Tell us about some of the programs that you have to help the children learn and speak Chamorro and Carolinian.
With that, Ms. Kathy, a lot of the teachers, we always have to start with the teachers, right? We want to make sure that the teachers are equipped with the skills and knowledge in order for them, and I guess teaching practices, instructional practices, strategies that they can learn and be able to bring that back to the classroom, so that they can, infuse that in the students as to how, the curriculum is going to be taught, and that of course there's that standards and benchmarks that the students are supposed to be mastering and be proficient before they move on to the next grade level. Of course, our students are assessed with the standard-based assessment tests annually. The grade 4th, 6th, and 8th grade are being tested to see what they're learning, and are they being proficient? Is there any great success that we need to celebrate? And if there's some issues and concern with regards to them not meeting those benchmarks, then again that goes back to the teachers, where we have to provide those professional development and trainings and data dialogue to really interpret those data and see what are the root cause, that the kids are not performing to expectation. So there's a lot of great things happening. What do you call that? Most especially focusing on the academic area, but also the cultural aspect, in order for the kids to really be able to, instill the language so they can also be able to speak it.
Now, under this program, are you educating all teachers on how to apply indigenous culture to whatever area instruction they're using, or is this more like a specialized class or activity?
Well, because it's mandated by the CNMI public school system, teachers are also provided those professional development under my program, where we bring experts in, local experts to conduct those professional, development trainings. It could be the Chamorro and Carolinian orthography. It could be classroom instruction that works, and those are the instructional strategies. SIUP. There's the Mackerel under Jane Hill, who teaches them also on ESL, teaching what do you call that, English as a second language, and our teachers have gone through a lot of those trainings in order for them to be equipped and be proficient with with the content, so that they can deliver good instruction for our students, so that whatever that needs to be taught within the curriculum, then also that should be passed down to the students. Yeah.
So as professional development, then it's available to all teachers to learn this
Yes.
information, these
Yes.
skills.
Every year, there's about 2 statewide professional development that PSS is obligated to provide to all the teachers within the public school system. So the CCLHS teachers are always being given that opportunity as well. Also, with the professional development, not just the state professional development, but there's an ongoing professional development that I have to plan along on my work plan, to make sure that there's that continuous training for them that aligns with the job that they do, and in so many different aspects. So my job is to carry out the mission and vision of the public school system, and under the curriculum, Office of Curriculum and Instruction, to ensure that we provide effective trainings, research-based trainings, hands-on trainings, because sometimes with our language, it's not all about academic, but if we look back again, during our ancestors, there was no written documentations about how they teach, and many of it is oral. So of course, in these days, we train our teachers to be academically inclined in teaching instruction in an academic manner, but also never forget the singing, the performing arts, and the beat making, because utilizing those kind of activities, in the classroom, the kids can also learn, how to, to speak and listen and write by just utilizing those kind of activities, integrating those, the different art form of instruction. Yeah.
We've had the coordinators for the Language Immersion project on the show before. Does that fall under your program?
Not really, because she is the director for that pilot project, the Immersion program. But under the CCLHS program, we support under the curriculum of Office of Curriculum and Instruction. We do provide that instructional support and other support, PDs. So whenever we have PDs for our teachers, we welcome them to participate, because it's a small island and same public school system. We still need to continue to merge and gel in together to learn together at the same time.
Yeah. And you've been with PSS for over a decade, maybe close to 2 decades now. So, but another role in the community that you're well known for is cultural preservation and promotion. What is your personal motivation in seeing this program succeed for public school students?
Ms. Cal, I believe that as a former professional entertainer, and growing up, I just love performing arts. So I guess I can say that probably I am the right person for this job, because not just being in the public school system for more than 20-some years, probably 29, going on 30 years already.
Oh, sorry, almost 3 decades.
Yes, from teaching to school administration, and now I'm working, being with the central office. I feel that, we really need to teach our teachers, performing arts, because a lot of our teachers are not cultural dancers. They're not cultural dancers, so they utilize our community partners to bring them in to do instruction in performing arts, and some of them they do their very best from what they have learned, probably from experience. But I truly believe that performing arts, cultural arts, is very, very, very important. In order for us to really have the kids to understand and value, who they are, their identity, their ancestors. Because if it's all about alphabets and numbers and reading and writing, that can be done in the other academics, language arts, math, science, and social studies, right? And career and technical education. But this subject, this content is very unique. And our community, our local leaders, our local community really needs to step up and say, not just to say that it's important, but we need to figure out, together with the Indigenous Affairs Office, Department of Community and Cultural Affairs, we all need to embrace this and come together and really create a plan of action. And not just doing those, those event, Flame Tree, Cultural Day. It's got to be a continuous events and activities, so that whatever that they're learning in the classroom, they can also bring it out, to the community, because that's where we want to see our kids, whether they're learning. Are they mastering those skills and standards and benchmarks that they are learning or being taught in the classroom? Aside from just the assessment data, that's not really going to tell us whether the kids are really learning, But having them to go out there and memorize all the different dances and songs and steps, that tells you that these kids are super talented, and that they can be able to use that trait in order for them to to speak the language and what do you call that, appreciate it more. Not just the Chamorro and Carolinian, but also those individuals that are, from a different ethnic group, that can also appreciate our local, indigenous language and culture, so that in return, we can also appreciate theirs.
That raises an interesting question. So this type of instruction goes to all the students, not necessarily those who are or choose to learn Chamorro and Carolinian.
That's correct.
That's great. You mentioned about standards and benchmarks, and there's a continuing myth that English is the only language you need to succeed in the world and to be a success. You and I both know that that's been proven wrong. What advantages are parents giving their children speaking to them in Chamorro and Carolinian? What is the benefit when it comes to benchmarks and standards for these kids if their parents keep that language alive?
Ms. Kathy, that has been a dream, for the public school system as well as mine, and those that truly love the and live up to this expectation of trying to revive the revitalization of our ethnicity, our indigenous language, cultural heritage. Well, I strongly believe that the mindset of our parents, it is the mindset of our parents that really, really have to change. That speaking the vernacular, it could be whatever language, Chinese, Chamorro, Carolinian, Palau, Filipino, it doesn't matter. If you can speak the your native language to your kids, English, they would always learn it no matter where they go, because it's an international, it's a national language, right? You can learn it anywhere, and you can learn it later in life. But once you missed out on your indigenous language, it will be so hard to catch up. And I've seen some parents of today, it's very little, a small amount of parents that really speak in vernacular in Chamorro and Carolinian to their little ones. And it just, it really touched my heart, because I said, wow, you are doing your your duty as a parent, in order for us to really protect and preserve and perpetuate, our dying language. But I believe it's the mindset of our parents that speak our own native language or your native language, and the English language will come in come into place. Look at our governor. Look at our lieutenant governor. Look at our lawyers, our judges, our priests, our teachers, our all those individuals that are holding high positions. Many of them speak their native language, and they're successful. So the myth of that thinking of saying that if you speak English you're going to be successful, I also disagree on that. And thank you, Ms. Kathy, for saying that. And I think
the research disagrees as well.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a lot of bilingual linguists out there, that speak almost like 2, 3, 4, 5 languages, and they're still successful. Well, especially they're speaking their mother tongue language. Yeah.
Well, our guest today is Jonas Barcinas, the Program Director for the Chamorro and Carolinian Language Heritage Studies Program under the public school system. We'll be back with more after this break.
Did you know that you can donate up to $5,000 to the Humanities Council through the CNMI Education Tax Credit Program? Donations from individuals and corporations qualify and can be used to offset your local wage and salary tax, BGRT, and earnings tax. Call our office at 235-4785 to see how you can support humanities programs in our community and obtain a tax credit for your donation. Sizuus Maasi, Olomai, and thank you.
Welcome back to Your Humanities Half-hour. Jonas, you were talking earlier about recruiting teachers for the program, and I understand you faced some challenges in getting qualified teachers, or what was the issue with that, and how did you resolve it, or are you still working on it?
Yes, Ms. Kathy. The State Board of Education already approved the alternative certification for the Chamorro and Carolinian instructors. And also there's other instructors like, special education, early childhood, career and technical education. So that's great that they removed the Praxis 1. What do you call that? Because it looks like that was the struggle. A lot of our Chamorro and Carolinian, they passed Praxis 2, the content, but they're having difficulties with Praxis 1.
Which is basically
the reading, writing, and the reading and writing and math.
So basically, they may be very highly qualified in the areas of Chamorro and Carolinian language and heritage, but not strong enough to pass the Praxis test regarding English, reading, writing, and math, or something like that.
Yeah, I will say that was a struggle challenge for our teachers. So when they removed that, a lot of our teachers within the CCLHS program, they've gone through an extensive training. On the certification courses. So there's like Jesus Ilameto, Carmen Taimaño, and some of the PSS key management that have taught those courses, so that the teachers in the program can be certified, meaning there's BOE certification. So many of them have completed the first set of 7 courses. That was previous, that was a previous Board of Education requirement. But then with the alternative, they added 2 additional courses. That would be 9 courses, for the certification. So a lot of our teachers went to a lot of PDs and trainings. They need to meet that 45 hours credit, right? So they met a lot of they met all the courses, but they cannot apply for certification because the requirement is still holding against them, the Praxis 1. But when they removed it, now we have a lot of our teachers that are now applying for the certification. So we have almost all of them are now certified. Okay, they took Praxis 2, that's Chamorro and Carolinian, and they passed it. We only have a few that are still planning to take it and retake and pass it. But yes, back then we have a lot of Chamorro teachers and Carolinian, but then with the Praxis 1, that was a barrier and a challenge for the system. So I'm just glad that the board, the Board of Education and some of the key management, the commissioner, they were really for this to remove Praxis 1. I mean, when you talk about the culture, it's almost like why do they need practice one? But of course, they still need those skills. So now we're trying to find other alternatives on how to help them become more effective and efficient and proficient in terms of reading, writing as well.
And do these teachers, do they speak Chamorro and or Carolinian?
Yes.
Is that one of the requirements for the program?
Yes, of course they have to teach in vernacular. Right now, there's only a few schools that are with the Carolinian program, that have the Carolinian program, and practically all the elementary and middle schools have Chamorro classes. So again, we need more. A lot of our teachers that have been teaching in the system retire. So we're trying to find out a way where we can bring them back, as a, probably a professional service, or for them to come back and help us with, by being hired in the system.
One of the exciting, very visual parts of the program that you guys have going on is the recent competition for students, which seems right up your alley given the performing arts history you have. What is this competition about, and how did it go?
Well, Ms. Kat, this is going to be our second annual, and I believe that this this took place many years ago when I was a teacher at San Vicente Elementary School, because we had our students competing every year. But it was just a competition, I guess. But this time, with our program, we celebrated a successful first annual competition last year by having our kids, compete in 9 categories. We have the essay, poster, we have the solo singing for male and female. We have the oratorical for the high school. We have the choral reading, storytelling, dramatic interpretation. We have the children's choir. We have the cultural and contemporary dance. So there's 9 categories that, we're trying to get our kids to be part of it and participate and be involved, So that was, the program and the teachers, vision is not just the academic, but let's bring all of our kids out and showcase their skills and talent to our parent community and our leaders and our PSS family. And indeed, last year we had about 570 participants.
Wow.
And this year, due to Super Typhoon U2, it was almost like a last minute to prepare, because we were planning already in August, but when in October came, typhoon kind of hit us and devastated our island. So they only have January, a little of December and January to prepare, because February is the event. So it went very well. Everybody was given their first place, second place, third place, award. But then we had to do the overall average, as to who has the highest, point average within every category.
Because maybe they participated in more than one category. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, if you only participate in one, then the score remains. But if you participated in 2, then we'll add that divided by 2, and then, that will be your average. And due to budget constraint as well, that's why we had to minimize, as to how many individuals or participants we're going to, bring over to Guam. Last year, we sent all the first place winners, and it kind of killed, the program with
as
the budget.
Doing anything else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this year, with the directive of our boss, Ms. Jackie Kirugwa, and consultation, with her, we try to find a way to minimize the budget issue, because we don't have much funding for whatever that was allocated by the public law or the legislature for this off-island student competition. But this year went very well. This year the overall winners are, Rhoda Tinian. They have a representative, and then Keckman Elementary School, WZAR. We have Marinas High School and Francisco Mendiola Sablon Middle School, and Chacha. So we have a variety of winners that will be representing our island on March 12th on Guam. At the University of Guam Chamorro language competition. And this has been happening, I guess the competition has been happening since 2003 or 4, where our CNMI has been, competing. But in order for us to send somebody, they have to, the school has to have their own school level competition or audition. some kind of formality or a process, and then they will compete on the state level. And then the state level, where PSS or the program will take care of the travel for all of those students to represent the CNMI public school system.
That's a great incentive for them.
And very successful. I really want to thank Docomo Pacific for sponsoring our trophies, our awards, McDonald's, Coca-Cola, and all the other Fiesta and all the other sponsors that have contributed to the success of the event. Most especially the Garapan Elementary School leadership, Miss Layla and Mr. Darwin, and the teachers, because they hosted our competition over at Garapan, for 2 days. The first year we had 5 days because our goal was to really advertise, the event. So this year we chopped it down to 2 days, and next year we'll probably just have it in 1 day.
You've shared so much today, and I've already given you a standing invitation to come back and give us updates on your various programs as you implement various parts. I do want to give you the opportunity for any final thoughts before we go today.
Si Zeus Masi Giliso, Miss Kathy. Malago uso loki na betsulis na oportunidad sa behu no nai agradecimiento para CNMI Public School System, the Office of Curriculum and Instruction leader, Ms. Jackie Kirugwa, for her guidance. San todo loki man maestro ni Public School System gi Chamorro and Carolinian no benai agradecimiento san no behutasu hulo para iminaulik na tsetsunia para famagonta ni Promeduca gi masyamano na manera po ma comprende zan po matungo haji siya zan loki po ma agradeci i lingwahe kinin itanota mas motsumas para ezusia i famagun ni man Chamorro zan Carolinian ni todo sumutsuli i class lao ma agradeci za bulan no tiningo humalom umano para siya pues talo no ulara mo ni manyaina gano i manyaina ta gano siya huzong no zan todo ki komunidad continua manfino Chamorro and Carolinian masya estabar na manera no por favor munga man mamalaw munga no manmasa munga man nina describe now put i afazi puri munga hamzo na pangwentos gi lingwahita sa na i lingwahita mampus no único na lingwahe zan bonito na lingwahe za debita pampanidoso put i Chamorro put man Chamorro zan Carolinian pues talo no gagagaw no ajudon mizo por favor no tafanapipit mo na para minaulig i programa zan loki para famagonta gi eskwela siya. Si Zeus Masi zan Giliso.
Sen Malik Jonas, si Zeus Masi pudi help me out here.
Maulig na afizino singa informasyon
Si Zeus Masi pudi maulig na informasyon. Thank you for all that you've shared with us today, and wish you every success with your program.
Thank you, Ms. Kathy.
This has been your Humanities Half Hour. I'm Catherine Perry.
This program was supported by a We the People grant awarded to the Northern Marianas Humanities Council from the National Endowment for the Humanities. Any views, findings, conclusions, or recommendations expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily represent those of the National Endowment for the Humanities or the Northern Marianas Humanities Council.